Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dr. J Tech.
Double that gives you a whole new tech.
This is Jacqueline.
This is Jeffrey.
Last time we talked about the difference between a satellite in space and a base station on the ground. We should not compare the data rate directly since they're different concepts.
Now we are moving to another discussion. Satellite communications are not 5G, let alone 6G.
The first feature of 5G, enhanced mobile broadband, so-called EMBB, which means fast speed. From the above example, it is known that the speed is about to use a small base station instead of a satellite.
The second feature, ultra-reliable and low-latency communication, so-called URLLC, which means fast response, must support a delay of 1 millisecond, while the delay time of low Earth orbit satellite is 20 milliseconds, which is also much worse.
As for the third feature, massive machine type communication, so-called MMTC, which means many devices. It supports more than just 1 million connected device per square kilometer, and it must be very power saving and very, very cheap.
The ground devices used by the satellites of the Starlink project are neither power saving nor cheap, let alone 6G. These specifications will only be more stringent, and the satellites are even more impossible to achieve.
Therefore, satellites communications are not 5G, let alone 6G. In the future, the protagonists of 5G and 6G will still be ground-based stations. Satellites are only supporting roles.
In some sparsely populated places in deep mountains or villages, or where there are no base stations on the ocean, or long-range drones, it is impossible to use ground-based stations.
In addition, there are 3 billion people around the world who do not have fiber optical network to use. There are all markets that can be developed by the Starlink project.
Yes, how big is the demand for this? Whether so many satellites are needed is another question worth exploring.
Well, some people may want to ask, why are there so many investors holding a lot of money to invest in this company?
Well, the answer is very simple. In the investment circle of the United States, the more exaggerated it is, the more investors can be attracted.
Otherwise, how could there be a case where Elizabeth Holmes, the founder of Theranos, can complete 240 medical examinations with a chip like Elizabeth Holmes, and a minimum it is only $2.99 US? A whooper's lie playing around with Silicon Valley for 5 years to make $7,700 million in money?
In addition, Magic Leap has published a magical film that demonstrates AR technology. The most famous one is on the ground of the stadium. Have you ever seen that?
Yeah, many viewers saw a whale jumping out of the sea without glasses. The video of the sea spraying on the audience. The insiders know that even holograms can't produce that effect.
The AR glasses that went public later fell far short of everyone's expectations. In fact, these films were produced by Vita, a nomination special effects company. But so far, Magic Leap has received an investment of $2.3 billion US. Investors include Google, Alibaba, Morgan Stanley, etc.
In addition to SpaceX, the British startup company OneWeb successfully launched the first batch of 6 internet satellites. In the future, it plans to deploy 650 satellites to build a constellation.
The Canadian satellite company is expected to launch 512 satellites. Amazon has also started the Project Kuiper. It is expected to launch 3,200 satellites to provide Internet of Things services.
But my question is, how do Taiwanese investors respond?
With so many companies investing in satellite projects one after another, many components must be required. There are many related companies in Taiwan that can take advantage of this opportunity to make a vote.
As for whether these satellites company will make the money in the end, we don't have to worry about it. Anyway, the investment circle in the United States is full of money.
The founder of a startup company should focus on the success of this kind of advanced technology by exaggerating to get enough funds from the stock market to make the company last until the future world in science fiction movies happens.
Well, let's talk about the strategic significance of the Starlink project as greater than the commercial value.
This is an interesting discussion. In fact, from the commercial point of view, the satellites of the Starlink project are mainly to replace traditional medium Earth orbit satellites and grab the existing satellite market.
Yeah, due to high launch and maintenance costs of old satellites, they will gradually be replaced by the Starlink project. So let's wait and see what Musk said there will be the revenue of 30 billion US dollar in a year.
However, from a strategic point of view, the satellites in middle Earth orbit are now getting more and more crowded, and only the low Earth orbit are still empty. Therefore, countries around the world will get to win first.
Well, if you think from this perspective, you don't have to consider the issue of costs.
Of course, what we discussed earlier is the near future. The distant future is difficult to evaluate.
Yeah, maybe one day the plans we take abroad all the drones and then we all have to rely on the satellites of the Starlink project to show off our skills.
I want to end the discussion with the problem of self-media that must still return to basic science and technical education.
Well, I would love to talk about it. Speaking of the popular science educations in the non-system, I suggest that in addition to watching introduction of YouTuber, it is better to add professional science media to learn, such as Scientific American.
Yeah, most of their authors are professors and expertise.
Yeah, unfortunately, young people don't like these old school ways of learning. Instead, they like self media to learn various interesting and playful ways.
You are right. Therefore, professional science media should work harder to transform into interesting and playful YouTubers, which is also a possible direction. The promotion of cross-disciplinary technical knowledge is related to the country's overall competitiveness, so-called STEM.
What is STEM? Would you mind elaborating on them?
Yes, of course. S refers to science, T stands for technology, E refers to engineering, M stands for mathematics. They cannot all rely on school education.
How to combine academia with industry experts from all walks of life, let everyone work together to contribute majors, conduct cross-disciplinary knowledge exchanges, and assist everyone in industrial innovations and talent cultivation.
This is what the government should think about. And it is also the direction of the efforts of the S-Force community.
Wow, we talked so much about the communication satellites today. I hope all of you enjoyed it.
Yeah, turn into our channel next week at the same time. This is Jeffrey.
And this is Jacqueline. We'll bring back more information to everyone. Goodbye.
Goodbye.